Welcome back to Caelesti. This is beta 15 of the Caelesti pre-release stuff. And today we're going to be getting on with some cool changes. We have quite a lot of stuff to go through, a lot of stuff, but a lot of it is quite small changes that I can show you very quickly. So we're going to get through it very quickly, hopefully. First of all, Birch logs have had their top texture changed. The top texture is now more neutral on this outside bark bit. With the original texture, the top bit actually has like black speckles going around the top in very much the same way as it does on the side texture here. Only the problem is, if you look at the texture from the side, it doesn't actually appear to have any black speckles at the top, so it didn't really make any sense. And also, I think I just kind of prefer the idea of a clean top texture for this guy as well. A lot of you have been asking for the CTM connectivity for logs. For example, you put logs like this and they would form a larger log in the center. I'm not entirely sure whether I want to do that, and if I do end up doing that, it's probably going to be a very, very basic CTM, which only works under specific conditions and maybe even for specific trees. We don't have that just yet, unfortunately, but I am planning on adding some more CTM features in the near future. So if you have any recommendations similar to that, please do leave a comment below. Moving on from that, we have a few GUI fixes. If you're wondering about my voice, by the way, if my voice does sound a bit weird, I am a little bit ill. I haven't got the virus, don't worry. I get ill a lot, so don't worry. But yeah, moving on, we have anvils and beacons and blasting furnaces and things. So we have loads of different GUIs here. So a while back, I switched to a kind of dark theme display for a lot of these, as you can see. There was a problem here where the text inside the inventory was mostly still gray, which is how it is in vanilla Minecraft. You can actually change the text of any text in a language.json file. So in our case, for example, with the language, it's English slang is the language that you should be using. If you are using slang, then you will find that all of these words are white now, as they should correctly be. There are still a few of these that are unfinished. Oh, there we go, spoilers. There are still a few of these that are unfinished. For example, I want to make something more interesting looking for this thing, because that looks crap. Like, it doesn't look good. I don't really know what to do with this, but we'll probably just do something that looks kind of similar to this. I don't know. I've got a few ideas. And we also have, obviously, this custom thing with the beacon. I'm planning on maybe adding some more customization to more of the tool stations and stuff as well. But as you can see here, there were a few mistakes beforehand. For example, mostly with the horses and llamas and villagers and things, where occasionally words inside inventories weren't white and they were a pain to see. I have tried to fix up as much of those as possible, so you should find that all of the in GUI things are white now properly, and we're going to be showing a few more of those off as well. We also have the brewing stand. Now, the brewing stand is quite a cool one. It has a little animated texture here, which is supposed to look like the blaze powder going down this kind of circular funnel that probably has a more scientific name that I'm forgetting. It's like flowing almost, and I really like the way it looks. Put blaze powder in there, you can see the actual texture for the blaze powder bit is also animated as well. It looks kind of like it's like flowing back and forth from left to right, and I really like the way it looks. It's very subtle. If you didn't know it was there, you would not even notice it. It took me absolutely ages to do, and it doesn't even look like how I wanted it to, but it's there and it exists, and I like it, so we're going to be keeping it for the time being. We also have new changes to shulker boxes. Now, the original shulker box that you will get from crafting a shulker box has a purple inventory like this, and all the different colors have a new colored inventory. So we have the awful white shulker box, orange, magenta, blue, yellow, which looks horrendous. We have lime green, we have pink, we have grey, which is actually the default color scheme for all the other inventories, which is an interesting thing. Like the dark grey shulker box is like everything else, kind of. We have a light grey shulker box, we have a cyan shulker box, purple, blue, brown, green, red. I actually quite like the red one, and a black one as well. The black one's actually really nice. This is like dark theme plus. Like this is regular dark theme. This is regular dark theme, and this is dark theme plus. Like, this is what you do if you don't like playing in the light. You can dye all your shulker boxes black, and they'll be very, very dark. It'll be cool. So yeah, moving on again with the naming things. We had I forgot to tame these guys. Crap, I forgot to tame them. Data merge entity tame one. There it is. So beforehand, things like horse in the inventory were grey still, because I just simply forgot to change them. Now you can see that the horse is white as well. Same applies for donkeys and mules and llamas and trader llamas, but I can't be asked typing out the code to tame all those guys, so you'll have to take my word for it. Also, by the way, I've actually also set up a dark theme GUI for the for the smithing table. But we're in 1.15, so you'll have to take my word for it. But yeah, so moving on, we also have updates for the chest minecart and hopper minecart. Once again, naming has been fixed inside these because they are another inventory that you can find in vanilla Minecraft. The way that the naming for these things work is really odd. With the tool stations, it's fine because there is a specific line that you can change to affect this thing right here. For example, in the thing, it's called like shulker box inventory name is white. Unfortunately, with things like entities, it's just their name. So, for example, with a horse, this is just taking the name of a horse, which also applies to things like a spawn egg and the actual entity name in game. And I think that's it. But basically, every single entity in the game has a name, but it also takes, but a cow doesn't have an inventory, for example, but it uses the same thing, which is, in my opinion, I don't really like that. Like, just have a separate one for the inventory, because someone might want to go like horse inventory, and then you don't want to have it so that horses are called horse inventory, because that's dumb. But yeah, so same thing applies to the minecart with chest and the minecart with hopper. I have also fixed the villager. However, I hate this. I really hate this. So, okay, every single GUI we've done so far, you can change the title of the GUI using a lang file. This is hard-coded. This little dash right here is fucking hard-coded. Why? Why would you do that? There is no lang file for this dash. Now, unfortunately, that's not something that I like doing. I hate leaving something incomplete like this. But I've decided something that might be better than having this dash be white, or having to revert every single station and even the entire dark theme thing just because of this one tiny thing. We might just try and make a custom villager GUI. I'm not entirely sure how that would work, because we'd have to make a different thing for every single villager, because of course the word Fletcher and the word novice are a certain length, and that is positioned based on their length. And if we, for example, to upgrade him to one of his other 5 levels, or take one of the other 13 villager trade variants, then this would be in a different position. So unfortunately, that's an inconsistency, and I'm not really happy with that. There is absolutely no way to change the color or even the text of this dash. Yeah, so sorry about that, but otherwise it's all working nicely now. Also, villager arrows on the little trade windows here have the are like white now. Beforehand, the arrows were really dark gray, and they kind of blended into the background accidentally. That was actually a mistake. That was because when I've been making these dark theme GUIs, I was kind of like shift selecting with the magic tool just to select all the different colors in the inventory and bulk make them one color. So this arrow was being made the same color as the background of the inventory, which of course is very similar to how the color of this button looks. So it just was kind of inconvenient. So white arrows are a little bit more obvious now. It looks a bit better in my opinion. And yeah, so villagers are actually kind of cool now. You can actually see the word trade, you can see their name, you can see their arrows. I'm kind of just making things that were inconsistent a little bit better, basically. Now, moving on from that, we have a few other texture changes, some kind of weird ones in this update, actually. So we've reverted to the V1 Japper cobblestone, which is very, very niche. And I bet a lot of you wouldn't even be able to tell this was different if I asked you to point it out. But this is actually different cobblestone to the vanilla Japper cobblestone. And it's a lot closer, really, to the old school cobblestone. Obviously, this is still a lot better. It's a lot more clean. It's a lot more Japper in general. It looks better. But this is actually taken from the V1 Japper textures, which someone was kind enough to provide me with. So basically, this is now an older version of cobblestone from when Japper first started to release his textures before they were officially implemented in 1.14. So we have an old school, a quote-unquote old school cobblestone texture. Same thing with the sand, only this is from his V3 pack. So I think by the time the V4 pack came out, that V4 is 1.14, but in between 1.13 and 1.14, there were 3 kind of preview versions, and this is what these are from. So we have the cobblestone from V1 and the sand from V3, and also the iron bars from V1 as well, which again are much, much closer to how they looked in Minecraft 1.13, and I think they just look a lot better in general. They are Japper, they follow Japper like conventions, but I just think they look a lot nicer. We also have the Japper V1 and V2 chainmail armor. I've also designed a custom item texture for them, which is more fitting of my pack as well. Probably a good time to mention, items are going to get a huge update in the very near future. I have been playing vanilla Minecraft with some friends because quarantine time, and I have really, really fallen out of love with my texture style for the items, which is fine because obviously this is a continuous development. We're still in the preview versions of Caelesti. But a lot of the things that you can see here in the inventory I don't like, especially here. I don't like the iron tools. I like the iron shovel and I like the iron saw, but I don't like the axe. I don't like the pickaxe. I don't like the hoe. I don't like any of the gold tools, I will just say. I like the cutlass because seeing pigmen with a cutlass is really cool. But I don't like that. That was a mistake. It was a cool idea, but it was a mistake. I don't like the way any of the armor looks. I don't like the bow. I don't really like any of it, to be honest. So we're going to be coming back at some point in the future and redoing the items. But it's going to be a while before the items get changed. It's not going to be in version beta 16. So yeah. So for now, I've just simply added an actual like logical chainmail texture, which is basically just the Jappa V1 chainmail texture, but with a slight coloration tweak. Or not coloration, but a slight brightness, darkness tweak to make it match everything else. So in the meantime, for anyone using the pack, it does still technically work. Moving on from that, I've brought back the magma overlays from Skur. So whenever magma is against netherrack, it will have this sweet looking overlay, which is really convenient and really easy to make because, of course, magma is kind of like separated into these little jigsaw piece chunks already. So you can actually very easily just cut them out and basically just create an entirely new texture for the edges of magma, as you can see there. I think it looks pretty decent, actually. I think it looks pretty neat. It does look a little bit weird when you're placing and breaking the blocks. It's a little bit... yeah. It's a little bit strange. It's like, especially with that as well. Oh, that's a mistake. Do you see that? Wait, hang on. I got to do that again. That's a mistake. Those pixels right there. Okay, 1, 2, 3 pixels. Look at them. That's a mistake. Okay. Well, I've actually already uploaded Caelesti to CurseForge. It'll have to be 0.15.1. Literally just to fix 3 pixels on an overlay, but never mind. So anyway, yeah, magma is back. Unfortunately, the emissive part of this thing isn't there because Optifine is slow, and we still don't have emissive textures for 1.15, even though 1.15 has been out now for like 6 months, but never mind. We still don't have emissive textures. When we do, I'll add back the magma emissive part, but unfortunately for the time being, if your magma is in a dark place, the overlay is going to look a bit weird. But again, it's a preview version, so what can you do? We also have a new texture for Kelp. I really, really like this. This has been an experiment for me with recent texture styles. I have been... for the longest time now, I've been desperately trying to figure out a new texture style, which I like, which works for me. And I think I'm finally starting to get there. The way this texture was designed, the Kelp block texture, is basically by taking a gradient of colors, like distinct, dignified colors, and then spreading them over a large area and using them to create this kind of like half gradient over the entire texture. Now, to start with, it looks very OCD and very... Disco FV, that guy looks very Disco FV. Is it FV? Disco something. There's that guy Disco who made the OCD texture pack. That thing. It looks a lot like that. And then what I do is simply make a new layer, draw crazy pitch black lines everywhere, and then decrease the opacity of the black lines to like 50, and then you get this. And I think it looks really, really good. I really, really like it. As some of you may know, I'm a huge hater of the Kelp block texture. I think it's one of the worst textures in Minecraft, and I was very disappointed that it didn't get updated in 1.14 because I thought it was shockingly bad and it just stayed the same. I guess it was already Jappa, but it's so shit. It's such a bad texture. So I always change that. I changed it in Skur, and I'll change it here again. This time I've opted to keep the kind of bands around the texture, but this time we're kind of acting like the Kelp is kind of like vertical pieces, and the bands are like tying it together like that. You can make quite nice textures if you stack them together. You can see the kind of gradient from dark at the bottom to light at the top works well nicely because you can separate the two stacks without having to have extra bands in between. And the top... Why am I lagging so much? It's a 1.15 Optifine thing, I think. I've been getting a lot of problems with lag recently, especially to do with these. Yeah, Optifine makes me lag loads for some reason in 1.15. Don't know why, but I'm just kind of hoping it will get fixed in the future. But you can see here, the top texture is lighter, the bottom texture is darker. It does all match up, as you'd expect. Yeah, I think it looks really, really good. Moving on from that, we have Coral. Coral has been completely changed. Here you can see we have all 5 different colors of coral. I've tried to kind of... I have tried to respect the original colors so people can still use them in build when they don't have the resource pack and appreciate the color schemes and things. But all of these have been resaturated. So blue has been made a lot lighter and a lot less saturated and a lot brighter, and that makes it match real life coral. We also have the brain coral, which has been again made a lot lighter and a lot less saturated. We have the bubble coral, which now matches the bubble coral from No. So bubble coral is confusing because this is called brain coral, but this is the one. So in Subnautica, you have this thing called brain coral, which is this one, but never mind, which is kind of like a purple color, and it spits out bubbles occasionally. If you've played Subnautica, you obviously know what that one is. And the colors for this one are entirely inspired by that thing. So what I did is I just simply took a screenshot of the brain coral, of the brain coral from Subnautica, and then took the bubble coral, which is this block, and then just kind of shifted the hue and saturation until it looked quite close to the original, and then just applied all the other textures as well. So we also have red. Again, this is designed to match the grassy plateaus from Subnautica, and we also have the yellow, which has been made a lot more orange and a lot more dull, like kind of like a browny orange, but kind of desaturated, and that is of course to match the tube coral that you would find in Subnautica as well. I've been planning on doing this for quite a while, but I've never been a massive fan of the coral in this game. I think Minecraft does have a problem with oversaturation, which is weird because I love saturation. Like, that's kind of my entire texture style, is tweaking the saturation of things and usually just increasing the saturation of things. But Minecraft does have an issue of having lots of very bright, very vivid colors, which in my opinion aren't very nice to work with and don't look good in a natural setting either. So changing these things around to be more, quote-unquote realistic or just more dignified or whatever it may be, is really good in my opinion, because, like, the idea of having coral which is just bright neon yellow, like, I don't like it. This is just a lot more realistic of a coral color. Like, this is the most realistic one in my opinion, and actually probably my new favorite. I like this one a lot, but again, you would never really find coral that color. I kind of just, like, what I've done is I've desaturated 4, and then one of them now stands out loads as a really dark, really bloody colored one. But again, this is still an improvement on the kind of bright, vivid red that it was before. The kind of darker, more crimson red is just a massive improvement. It looks a lot more realistic, and I don't know, I think it's just a lot nicer to use now, basically. All of the coral types will look the same when they're out of water. They will always just fade down to a grayscale version of themselves, as you can see. It's come to my attention that a lot of people like to use these, coral fans and stuff in, like, cave buildings, which is kind of, that amazes me. I'm not a builder, as you guys know. I like to build very basic in Minecraft. I'm a 9x9 cobblestone perfection house kind of guy. But it's come to my attention, a lot of people apparently do stuff like this. Because, like, it makes sense. Like, it works, like, it does make sense. But also, what? That's crazy. Like, that's coral. That's not stone. Obey the laws of Minecraft, Moving on from that, we have Glazed Terracotta. Back in the times of Skyr, I also changed all of the Glazed Terracotta then, simply because I try and make these things more neutral, more easy to build with, more... I don't really know how to describe it, but basically you can see here that I've changed pretty much all of them. We'll go through them one by one. So white glazed terracotta originally had shades of yellow and blue and white. I have properly Jappified this thing. I'm not going to lie. Like, again, I don't fully understand why some blocks were just completely ignored by Jappa, or if he wasn't allowed to touch them or something like that. But basically, a lot of these textures weren't actually Jappa before. They were very un-Jappa. So I've actually gone to the effort of Jappifying some of them. So this one is a very Jappa now. The white glazed terracotta uses a grand total of 6 colors, 4 different colors for the shades of yellow and 2 different colors for the white and gray that you can see in the background there. The main goal of this was to kind of remove the blue from white terracotta, because a general rule of all of these is I've tried to make them more obvious as what their original color was. Like, if they don't look like their original color, remove the extra colors, boom, it's done. And also remove any stupid shapes that would be formed on them as well, which aren't Minecrafty. But we'll be getting to that one shortly. So you can see here, white glazed terracotta, which was originally white, yellow, and blue, is now just white and yellow. When I say one color, white, gray, and black don't count because they're not colors. They're just kind of like background things, kind of. So if you see white, black, and grey, and you think, what did he said? What? He said no. Obviously, like, those colours are fine because they're not really colours. They're just darknesses or tone. What's that thing art students always say where they're like, black isn't a real colour. It's just everything, but it's dark. Or I don't know. Or like, white isn't a real colour, it's just everything, but at maximum brightness. I don't really know, but you get the idea. We also have orange glazed terracotta. Again, orange glazed terracotta was mostly blue beforehand, which was really dumb. Like, the only bits of orange glazed terracotta that were orange were this kind of inner bit right here. Everything on the outside was blue. Like, is it blue or is it orange? Like, how do you expect people to build with that kind of stuff? Like, for me personally, I would not use a texture like that where it's so incredibly inconsistent. Like, if you had a texture where you had, like, blue and orange, in my opinion, you're being forced to use blue and orange in your build. And unless you're building a blue and orange build, this is really awkward to work with unless you're using that specific color scheme, which I personally never would. So I really like the idea of making all the glazed terracotta a lot more neutral, because for me personally, it makes them a lot more easier to build with. We also have a new texture for magenta glazed terracotta. Now, originally, I was trying to come up with some sort of tessellation design for this one, which would make it look like arrows still, because of course a lot of you will know the magenta glazed terracotta originally has a big fat arrow in the middle of it. I hate that. Like that's one of my most hated things in Minecraft. I remember when 1.12 came out and they introduced this texture, and I was like, what how the fuck could anyone ever build with that? That looks like some noob just made a resource pack and was like, I also made it so that magenta terracotta had an arrow on so you can use it for signs. Like, what the fuck? No, be more creative than that. So you can see I've kind of tried to retain the idea. The base texture does still have like a pointing vibe. It's got an arrow pointing forward. It still points in the direction that you face it, as you can see there. Only the texture is a lot more complicated now. Tessellates a lot more nicely in every direction and is just better. It just kind of matches up with the rest a lot better, in my opinion, as well. I just think it looks pretty good. I've also kind of very slightly tweaked this texture. So this is light blue. Yes, it is light blue glazed terracotta. Now, where you can see these kind of like dark and almost black lines here, those were originally a very, very highly saturated mid blue. Now, again, the idea of making these all a lot more neutral, I simply changed that so that it was a very dark and very dull blue. And yeah, that kind of makes it more like black, so it's kind of okay because, yeah, I tried making it black. It didn't look very good, so it's just a very dark and very dull shade of blue, and I think that looks much, much nicer. I haven't touched yellow because yellow is the second best terracotta. Fight me, it just is. It's so good. It's so good. Like, I wanna use this with honeycombs. I bet that would look amazing, actually. Honeycombs, let's see. Because people were like... Okay, it's not actually that great. I thought that would look better than it does. It looks alright, to be fair. I don't know. I think people were using the yellow honey, the yellow glazed terracotta as like a honey hive style thing ages ago, because it kind of looks like it already, but yeah. Second best glazed terracotta, fight me, I don't even give a shit. Lime glazed terracotta, again, was mostly yellow before, so I've simply made it so that it actually is lime now. I think it looks much better. I think it makes it much easier to build with. Pink glazed terracotta had grey in the corners. Again, I said that I would be okay with grey, black, and white, and I am. But I just think this texture would fit having more pink in it, because it's pink. Like, it doesn't need grey. It didn't do anything. It didn't add to it, so just have some pink in the corner. I think it looks really, really nice. We also have this one. This one's fine. I'm not sure what the fuck's going on in that texture, but it's fine. It obeys the rules that I'm trying to follow here, so it's all good. Grey... Yeah, light grey stained terracotta, has a bit of blue in it. All I've done for this one really is just simply desaturate the blue. I tested the idea of just simply making this grayscale so that the entire texture was just grey. But similar to how the white glazed terracotta has yellow all over it, I was okay with this one having colour. And I know a lot of people like to use this texture in like sci-fi, high-tech, industrial type builds, because it's obviously perfect for that. Like, you can look, like, I'm a ship builder and I look at this thing and go, wow, that is a nuclear reactor. You know, it's so obvious. It's such a cool texture. Again, I would never really personally use this because Minecraft isn't like that. It's medieval, so I'm not a pro builder, guys, I'm sorry. But I just think this looks better. I think making it more neutral makes it look better. Once again, I've removed the creeper face from the cyan glazed terracotta because it's silly. I've removed the sword texture from the purple glazed terracotta and given it a similar but different texture. You can kind of see where the sword texture was beforehand. This kind of shape here is still kind of the sword, but in my opinion, I think it looks a lot better now. I think it looks a lot more Minecraft, kind of. Even though I removed the Minecraft sword from it, I think it looks more Minecraft, so that's fine. This one was an interesting one. Now, when I went over all the different glazed terracotta, I kind of like shortlisted the ones that I liked and didn't like. This was one of the ones that I didn't like, but after fixing them all, I came back to this one and I thought, you know what, it does fit the theme. Like, I don't like the shape. I don't like that it has a sort of kind of like almost like a diamond-esque shape that doesn't even tessellate that nicely. I don't like the texture on it, but it does fit. Like, if you look at that wall of glazed terracotta, that's the blue one. Like, it's pretty obvious. So I don't know. Like, I might change this yet. I might change it in the future, but for now, I I kind of like it. Like, I'm going to leave it for now. Brown is more brown. Brown had orange and blue in it at one stage, so I've removed both of those, and now the whole thing is just different shades of brown. I think it looks much better, and again, more neutral, more easy to build with, in my personal opinion. We also have green. Green has been untouched. I kind of like green. Red has been untouched because it follows the rules. I'm not a massive fan of the red texture. It's a bit weird. It's very un-Japper. You can see here, like, not Japper. It's not Japper at all, but it's still kind of nice. I might come back and change the red one. Similar story to the blue one. But long story short, it does fit the bill. Like, it does match up to the style I'm kind of go for here. So it gets to survive for now. And finally, moving on to the best terracotta, we have black glazed terracotta. Amazing. The best one. It's so good. It's so good. That's not really Japper, but it's so good. It's really, really nice. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this this little showcase video. I hope you guys enjoy the new textures. Wait, what? Oh shit, look at that. That's so cool. Would you look at that? It's a Japper creeper. It actually looks like Japper, kind of. Everyone has made a Japper creeper. Like, Quark has a Japper creeper. Every good texture pack maker that I aspire to be like has a Japper creeper. I'm sure even Japper has a Japper creeper, to be completely honest. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he just got told by Mojang from the start. They were like, no, the creeper is so iconic, you cannot change it. But I'm sure he made one for it anyway. Now, I have seen all these different Japper creepers. I don't like them. I think they look like skeletons. It's kind of weird. I think they look kind of odd. I like this. This is my style. Like, you guys might not like this, but this is how I like the creeper. I think it looks really, really cool like this. It barely looks like a creeper anymore, but I really like it. I think it looks really good. I would also like to give credit to Astrid the Asteroid on this one. She actually gave me some advice with the, saturation and contrast and color hues as well. I went through this took me ages to make, by the way. I've been working on this for like 3 hours today. It started out as kind of like a more yellowy green color, and then I decided to make it brighter and more saturated and more contrasty, and eventually ended up with this. It might get changed again in the future, but for the time being, I really like this. But one thing that kind of especially sells it for me is the head. Like, just the head on its own looks really good. I think it looks really, really nice. Now, obviously, creepers are supposed to blend into grass. That's kind of the whole point, but this guy doesn't. I don't know. Like, I'm considering doing the whole biome-based creeper thing. A lot of people have done biome-based creepers. You can have creepers that spawn down below have like gray and blend in with stone, or creepers that spawn in jungles are more vivid and they blend in with jungle fauna. I might do that, but we're not going to be getting to the more complex Optifine random entities for a good while now. And to be honest, I'm starting to think more and more about how I can make things like that an ROTV feature by giving the mobs special abilities and things. But yeah, so anyway, that's the Japper creeper. Let me know if you guys have any feedback, because he's very cool and very new. This is the first texture I've made for mobs in Caelesti. I really like it. I just kind of hope you guys like it as well, because I'm really questioning myself. The more and more I try and do Japper, I hate it. Like, I don't like the texture style. I like this. This isn't Japper, but it's close and it's me. So that's what we're going to have more of, probably. Unless you guys hate it, in which case I'll zuck it. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And from me and my kind of Japper friend here, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a nice day. And bye-bye. But seriously, though, please give me feedback about the creeper, because I'm really, like, I'm questioning myself loads. I feel like I'm really bad at Japper, but I'm not even sure. Like, it seems like, if you look at him in the background there, he seems cool. But I'm not, like, 100% convinced. Like, he's kind of shit. But then then I look at him and I'm like, oh, I love that. That's great. And then I look at him again and I'm like, ugh, that's nasty. I don't know. Yeah, give me feedback. Okay, bye.